Imagine you're walking on a trail and something suddenly appears. But she doesn't attack you. She follows, observes. And in the end, you get a strange mark.
It started on a strangely warm night in late August, when she took her usual shortcut home through the edge of the forest. She had walked that path 100 times, but this time it felt different, heavier, quieter, as if the night itself were aware of her. The moon hung low, swollen and orange, casting long shadows across the ground. She tried to shake off the tension tightening her chest, telling herself it was just exhaustion after a long shift. But the deeper she walked, the more she felt it, a presence, watching her from somewhere beyond the trees. Not a person, not an animal, something older, something patient. She slowed her steps, listening. The forest was silent, too silent. No crickets, no rustling leaves, no distant sounds of traffic. It was as if the world had paused. A prickling sensation ran up her spine, and for a moment she held her breath, certain that if she exhaled too loudly, something would hear her. Her eyes scanned the tree line, and in the distance, she thought she saw movement, a tall, thin silhouette standing unnaturally still. She blinked, and it was gone. She laughed nervously at herself, but the laugh came out hollow. Something wasn't right. She turned on her flashlight, but the beam felt weak against the darkness, swallowed by it. That's when she noticed the smell. Faint, metallic, almost electrical, like the air before a lightning strike. It grew stronger with every step, mixing with damp earth and something else she couldn't place. Fear gnawed at her gut, but she kept walking. Stopping felt dangerous, like standing still would give whatever was watching her permission to come closer. She pressed forward, gripping her phone tightly, repeating to herself that she was almost home. But the path didn't feel familiar anymore. The trees looked different, taller, thicker, their branches twisting in strange angles, as if leaning toward her. She swallowed hard. She had walked this route for months, and yet suddenly she felt lost in her own town. She tried calling a friend, but her phone had no signal, not even a bar. The smell intensified, and a faint vibration hummed beneath her feet, like the ground itself was alive. She whispered a curse and picked up her pace. Then she heard it, a low, slow exhale. Not human, not animal, something in between. It came from behind her. She froze, heart pounding so loudly it hurt. Slowly, carefully, she turned her head. At first, she saw nothing. Then her eyes adjusted, and between two trees, she made out a shape. Tall, thin, wrong. Its limbs were too long, its posture slightly hunched, as if its spine curved in a way no living things should. She couldn't see its face, but she felt it stare, like icy fingers sliding down her back. She took a single step backward, and the creature tilted its head, studying her with a slow, deliberate motion, like it was trying to understand what she was. She didn't dare breathe. Then, without warning, it stepped forward, silent, fluid, predatory. She turned and ran. Her footsteps thundered against the dirt, but behind her, she heard nothing. No pursuit, no snapping branches. That somehow made it worse. Things that move silently usually hunt silently. Her lungs burned as she sprinted down the dark path. She didn't look back. She couldn't, but the feeling of being watched grew sharper, heavier, suffocating. It felt like eyes were crawling across her skin, tracking every movement. She stumbled, scraping her knee, but forced herself up again, adrenaline drowning out the pain. She kept running until the path bent sharply, leading to a slightly open clearing bathed in moonlight. She stopped there, gasping for air. At first, she thought she was safe. The clearing was bright enough to see her surroundings clearly. But then she noticed something odd. The shadows around the trees weren't behaving normally. They jittered, stretched, and twisted, even though no wind stirred the leaves. Suddenly, one shadow detached itself from the others and elongated across the ground, reaching for her. Her breath hitched. She stepped back, but the shadow mirrored her movement. It wasn't a trick of the light. Something was standing just beyond the moon's reach. She raised her flashlight again, and for a split second, the beam illuminated the creature fully. It was tall, impossibly tall, with limbs that seemed too thin to support its body. Its skin was a pale gray, almost translucent, like stretched wax. Its eyes were the most terrifying part, two faintly glowing, ember-colored orbs that didn't blink. When the light hit it, its jaw slackened slightly, revealing rows of small, needle-like teeth arranged in unnatural patterns. She screamed and dropped the flashlight. The scream echoed through the forest, but the creature didn't flinch. Instead, it cocked its head again, curious, almost amused. It stepped forward, just one step, but that was enough. She bolted back through the clearing, tripping over roots, branches grabbing at her clothes like skeletal hands. She didn't know where she was going anymore. She just needed distance, needed light, needed people. Anything but the suffocating presence behind her. The deeper she ran, the more distorted the forest became. The trees seemed to move subtly, shifting positions, the path looping back on itself in ways that defied logic. She realized with horror that the forest wasn't just dark, it was disorienting her, pushing her deeper, like it didn't want her to leave. A cold wave of dread washed over her. This wasn't just a creature hunting her. This was a place that was aware of her, and working with it. She stumbled into another clearing, smaller, tighter, surrounded by dense undergrowth. She pressed her hand against her racing heart and tried to steady her breathing. Then she heard the sound again, that slow, deliberate exhale. This time, it was closer, much closer. She turned slowly, scanning the tree line, and there it was, half hidden behind a trunk, only its eyes visible, glowing, watching, waiting. She realized the creature wasn't trying to catch her, it was herding her, guiding her deeper into a part of the forest she had never seen. She backed away, but her heel hit something, a fallen branch. The snap echoed unnaturally loud, and the creature shifted, stepping just slightly into the moonlight. Not enough to reveal its body, but enough to show its silhouette. And that silhouette was all wrong. Too many joints, too many angles. She whispered a prayer, something she hadn't done in years, and turned to flee again. But this time, the creature moved. Not fast, not slow, just inevitable. It followed her without sound, gliding between trees as if it didn't walk, but floated. Her panic rose until she could barely think straight. She found a narrow path and sprinted down it, branches slicing her arms, her legs shaking with exhaustion. Then, suddenly, she saw something she recognized, the old wooden fence that separated the forest from the road. Relief flooded her chest so violently she almost cried. She pushed herself harder, ignoring the burning in her muscles. But as she neared the fence, the forest behind her went silent again. That same suffocating quietness from before. She didn't look back. She couldn't. She threw herself over the fence, landing hard on the pavement. The moment her feet hit the asphalt, the world snapped back to normal. Night insects chirped. A dog barked somewhere in the distance. A car rumbled by. She spun around, and the forest looked normal. Dark, still untouched. No glowing eyes, no towering silhouette, just trees, ordinary trees. She collapsed to her knees, shaking uncontrollably. Had she imagined everything? No, she wasn't that kind of person. Something had followed her. She got home, locked every door, turned on every light, and sat awake until sunrise. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that creature's face, those ember-colored eyes, staring at her as if she were prey. When morning came, she felt ridiculous for being so terrified. But when she walked past a mirror, she froze. There was dirt on her neck, and something else, a faint, perfect ring-shaped mark, almost like a bruise, but not quite. She touched it, and her stomach dropped. The mark was cold, ice cold, colder than her skin, colder than the room. And when she pressed her finger against it, she felt something impossible, a pulse, not hers, something else, something rhythmic, slow, ancient. She pulled her hand away in horror. The creature hadn't touched her, she knew that, but something had marked her, claimed her. Over the next few days, strange things began happening in her apartment. Lights flickered when she walked under them. Objects moved slightly from where she remembered placing them. She dismissed it as stress, but deep down she knew better. She slept with the lights on. She avoided the windows. But every night, around 3 a.m., she felt it, a presence near her bed, not touching, just watching. She started having dreams. Vivid, suffocating dreams of tall trees, twisting shadows, and glowing ember eyes staring at her from the darkness. In the dream, she couldn't move, couldn't speak, only watch as the creature stepped closer, its breath cold against her skin. She always woke, gasping, covered in sweat, the mark on her neck pulsing faintly. Finally, desperate for answers, she returned to the forest in daylight. Everything looked normal, peaceful, even birds chirped. The wind rustled the leaves. But when she stood where she had first seen the creature, the smell returned, a faint metallic scent, and she felt the air shift, heavy, charged, like she wasn't alone. She backed away, her heart hammering. Then a tree branch snapped behind her. She spun around, expecting to see an animal, a deer, a stray dog, anything. Instead, she saw nothing, but she felt something brush past her, like a cold draft moving with intention. She ran out of the forest and didn't look back. That night, the dreams intensified. The creature no longer stood at a distance. It was close, too close. She could see the details of its skin, thin, textured, almost stretched, and its eyes glowing with a strange intelligence, like it was trying to communicate or warn her. She woke with a start, the mark on her neck burning faintly. She went online, searching for explanations. Folklore, urban legends, missing person reports, anything that might match what she saw. She found stories, old ones, stories of something that lived deep in the woods, something that watched humans with curiosity, something that marked people. Only a handful of people survived encounters, and the survivors said the same thing. It lets you leave because it wants you to. That's when she understood the truth. The creature hadn't chased her, it hadn't attacked her, it had chosen her, marked her, and whatever that mark meant, whatever connection now tied her to that thing, she knew one thing with absolute certainty. Her escape wasn't luck, it was permission, and creatures that give permission can take it back.
Sometimes certain encounters leave a mark. What do you think this mark is? Leave your comments. Goodbye.